Over the last year, we've had the misfortune of playing multiple disappointing games, and almost all of them had one thing in common. They could and ultimately should have been great. These games had solid foundations, good ideas, and were often a lot of fun to play, but the greed and short-sightedness of the creators of those games ultimately dwarfed their potential and held them back from greatness. That's how I feel about Evolve. Purely from a gameplay standpoint, Evolve is a good game. It's innovative, well-designed, tense, tactical, surprisingly deep, and a blast to play most of the time. But it's a game that shouldn't be bought. Evolve has been forever tarnished due to its lack of content, potentially short longevity, and bad DLC business models akin to those of a fucking mobile game. I really want to recommend Evolve to people because fundamentally, it really is a good game. But it's the value proposition and the precedence Evolve sets that makes it difficult to recommend. Evolve is an asymmetrical multiplayer shooter, 4 hunters each with unique abilities, are tasked with tracking down and killing a monster lurking within the map. The hunters need to work together and support each other in order to take down the beast. The monster instead avoids the hunters, eating AI creatures within the world in order to evolve, unlocking more abilities, making the monster more powerful so they can take on the hunters. This is the core of Evolve, and it's a strong one. This core dynamic feels incredibly unique in a multiplayer landscape that's failed to innovate in any significant way over the past few years. Now, a good idea does not necessarily equate to good gameplay, but Evolve's combat mechanics have been polished and refined very well. The shooting feels solid and traversal is easy, though sometimes terrain that should be scalable isn't. Controlling the monster while occasionally clunky works surprisingly well and becomes immensely enjoyable when decimating the enemy team. Each hunter has a purpose on the battlefield, and they're all equally important in the hunt. No team can be successful if each player isn't utilizing their class properly. An assault player will go down quickly without receiving medical support from the medic, and a trapper can't maintain the mobile arena if they die, so the support needs to shield them from incoming damage. Teamwork is a must in Evolve. This naturally means teaming up in random pubs can be fucking infuriating, but when you work together and pull off an ambush flawlessly, the win becomes that much more satisfying. As you progress through the game and level up your weapons, you unlock access to new hunters for each class. Each playable character has unique skills that will force you to vary your strategy, even when you're playing characters within the same class. For example, within the medic class, Val is focused on long-range support with tranquilizer darts and can heal allies slowly from a distance. Lazarus, on the other hand, can revive downed or dead enemies instantaneously, but sacrifices his ability to heal from range. It provides you with an incentive to unlock new characters, as this means you can try out new weapons and playstyles to see what works best for you. With all that said, the real stars of the show are the monsters. The monsters make Evolve, and in my opinion, they're the best aspect of the game. The monsters seriously kick ass. Playing as a monster truly offers a unique experience unmatched by any other multiplayer shooter. And despite my many issues with other aspects of the game, that's something I have to applaud the developers for. Despite what you may first think, the hunters start with the upper hand, which forces you to evade the hunters at all costs. Playing as the monster is tense, as you're always watching your back just in case you get ambushed by the other team. You're forced to keep moving and try to lose the hunters while you eat food to gain power, as well as find safe places to evolve. Unlike the hunters who frequently find themselves unable to find a fucking thing for minutes, which can become extremely fucking tedious, playing as the monster constantly keeps you on your toes. Once you find yourself in a combat encounter, Evolve really starts to become entertaining. These fights are intense and can go many different ways, whether you manage to pounce on the unsuspecting hunters as the Goliath, blasting their asses across the map, or when you're nearly dead, you lure a Kraken over a landmine with low health and watch that fucker disintegrate, it's pulse pounding. When the monsters and hunters are evenly matched, Evolve becomes incredibly fun. That said, there's still some balancing that needs to be done, because right now, the game seems unbalanced. I preferred playing as the monsters not only because it was more fun because I didn't have to work with a fucking team, some of whom could be complete assholes, but because I won more matches doing so. I know the stats say otherwise, but during my playtime, I rarely lost as the monster, which leads me to believe the monsters are overpowered. The Goliath is kind of vulnerable as it's a land-based monster, but the Kraken and especially the Wraith seem way too overpowered. The Wraith is a fucking beast, both super agile and able to dispense hunters with flurry attacks, and the Kraken is able to decimate the hunters from above. My win-loss ratio is pretty high as of writing this review, so either I'm too good at the game or the monsters are too overpowered. Regardless, playing the game is still fun nonetheless, even if playing as a humans can be boring at times. Evolve is a good looking game, no doubt about it. The lighting is excellent, the environments and character models are detailed, and the monster designs are just plain awesome. Thankfully, it's a solid PC port too. Aside from the occasional stutter, I didn't encounter any significant issues and it ran very well on my PC. The sound design is also top notch. Directional awareness is key in Evolve. You'll want to be using a good headset in this game because when you can track your opponents based on sound alone, you gain the upper hand in the hunt. Even from an aesthetic standpoint, the sound is good. The banter between the hunters feels organic, the ambience is tense, weapons sound like they pack punch, and when the monsters roar, it's pretty cool to hear. This all sounds great, doesn't it? When it comes to the gameplay itself, Evolve is great. But here's where shit starts to fall apart. Evolve has a lot of problems that concern me, and when you combine these with the downright fucked DLC practices on display, Evolve begins making its descent down my shit list. So many reviewers are seemingly ignoring an inherent issue within Evolve, just like they did with Titanfall. As a multiplayer-only game, once the community for Evolve dies, the game becomes fucking worthless. Literally worthless. There's no offline campaign to play or any sort of local split screen, it's just online multiplayer. Yeah, you can play against the AI, but it's not fun. Once the community dies, your copy of Evolve will be a fucking brick. I know damage controlling dipshits like to say, well, if the game is multiplayer focused to begin with, let them focus exclusively on multiplayer. Well, that's great for you, pal, if you don't like single player campaigns, but what about some guy who gets a game in a year, or a guy with no internet? They're fucked. Besides, you're basically defending getting less value for your money. That doesn't make any sense. In a game with longevity, this doesn't really matter, but Evolve becomes repetitive pretty fast. One of my concerns coming into Evolve was its longevity, and that concern is justified. Matches are fun, and the differing characters offer varied playstyles, but in the grand scheme of a match, the matches ultimately play out the same. Hunt the monster and kill it, or evolve and kill the hunters. That's every match. This isn't necessarily the developer's fault, as it's an inherent flaw with this type of game, but it's an issue nonetheless. Most other multiplayer games feature a variety of game modes that really change the formula. And in shooters where verticality isn't emphasized, battle flow can be more effectively coordinated by map designers. In a good shooter like Modern Warfare 2, this makes each map feel and play distinctly. Rust plays very differently to Skid Row. In Evolve, all the maps feel the same. They're generally equivalent in design and aesthetics, and due to jetpacks, there's no map flow. You can go wherever you want at any time. And when this happens, every match begins to feel the same, regardless of what character or what map you're playing on. There are a few variations on the standard hunt mode, namely seen in the evacuation game mode. Evacuation serves as a mini campaign of sorts that contextualizes the rough plot of Evolve. Players partake in 5 consecutive matches, with the outcomes of those matches affecting the preceding matches. The objectives vary from mission to mission. For example, the first match could be a standard hunt. In the next one, hunters may need to take out eggs scattered throughout the map that the monsters will defend, or the monster may be tasked with killing survivors the hunters must rescue. While these do change the formula a bit, they're still just minor additions and tweaks on top of the standard hunt mode. In Battlefield, Rush and Conquest play very differently. In Call of Duty, Team Deathmatch and Search and Destroy play differently. In Evolve, every match plays out virtually the same. Kill the enemy team and win. These issues aren't necessarily issues so long as the game provides enough content to justify its asking price. Evolve does not, and it's abundantly clear that a hacksaw was taken to Evolve prior to release. Evolve's DLC model represents everything wrong with modern gaming. On day 1, 40 pieces of content were made available to purchase, totaling a cost of over $130. I am dead fucking serious. This day 1 DLC cost double the price of the entirety of the game. I know what you're gonna say. Fringy, they're just skins and weapons. What's the problem? You're just an entitled gamer. 1. Skins used to be free items that could be unlocked through playing the fucking game. Now they're locked behind a paywall. Secondly, if you look at it that way, you're missing the point. It always starts small and then gets worse. How do you think we got to where we are now, where you have to pre-order games in order to unlock fucking game modes and story missions? Doesn't stop there though. Oh fuck no it doesn't. Evolve's pre-order bonuses were just insane, clearly designed to punish those who didn't pre-order. There were multiple pre-order bundles, all of them bullshit. If you pre-ordered on the Xbox One, you got access to multiple skins and the last unlockable characters for each class. They get to skip the grind and in the case of the monsters, gain access to the best one. And if you bought it on the PS4 or PC like me, you're totally fucked. Pretty unfair, right? There was also a monster expansion pack, which provided pre-ordering customers with free access to a 4th monster named Behemoth that will be released post-launch. It's safe to assume this monster was developed prior to launch and cut from the game for additional profit, as this pack was announced before the first piece of gameplay for Evolve was even shown. Once again, I am dead fucking serious. Now, I didn't pre-order the game, so I won't be gaining access to this 4th monster when it's released. In order to, I would need to spend an extra $15 to get this character. I would need to pay a quarter of the price of the game in order to gain access to one monster. That shit is just wrong, and the fact that other professional gaming reviewers haven't discussed this topic is despicable. Evolve serves as a quintessential example of greed in AAA gaming. It's a game that would have performed fine on its own, and despite potential longevity issues, it could have been an excellent starting point for a new series. But due to the airhead fucks at the top thinking we just gladly open our ass cheeks and lube the fuck up, the game has been brought down by greed and short-sighted business decisions. Evolve's lack of content, concerning longevity, and DLC practices are bad, and it fucking shows. Evolve is good. Scratch that. Evolve is great. It's one of the few multiplayer shooters on the market offering a new gameplay experience, and overall, it was handled very well. It's legitimately enjoyable, deep, and unique, which is why I hate having to say Evolve is a game I can't recommend, because I really can't. Not for full price. I'd tell you to get it on sale, but by the time this game goes on sale, it may already be dead. Evolve makes me sad. I know that sounds melodramatic, but I'm serious. The seeds of a great game have been firmly planted here, but it feels as though the ultimate vision for Evolve was compromised due to time constraints or for financial gain. But it didn't work. Evolve was caught between a rock and a hard place, and unfortunately, it got crushed in the middle.